want to know how you see the world. Do you seek out urban beauty? Or do you create your own landscapes? Maybe it's outdoor adventure that makes your world turn. Let us bring your passion into focus and give you the best view yet. At Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, we defy the norms by combining advanced medical eye care with Santa Fe's finest selection of luxury and artful eyeglasses. Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, 2 locations in Santa Fe.
Welcome back, everyone. Santa Fe Gloom podcast. Got a great guest today, Coach Joe with SoccerViza. Coach Joe, thank you so much for taking your time. I know there's a little bit of a time difference. It's about 10:30 where you're at, so I'm glad this is your last call.
No, it's a pleasure. It's good to speak to you again, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Very welcome. As always, everybody, thank you so much to our sponsors. We've got Pantry Dose of Santa Fe Economic Development, Capital Ford, Age-Friendly Senior Care, Pit Press, Sam's Club, Mercedes-Benz, and Botwin Eye Group. So, Coach Joe, we spoke about, I'd say, a year and a half, 2 years ago when we were starting up the arena soccer and we pivoted to futsal. But thank you so much for just like reconnecting and just kind of giving me that intro into like professional sports and soccer. I mean, that's one thing that I've always been just like real fond of you on, is just like you're real accessible to get to. Like you'll text back, you'll call back, you'll make those connections. So thank you so much for kind of starting us off on the right foot with the Santa Fe Gloom.
No problem. Appreciate being on.
And tell our audience exactly what SoccerViza is, and then we're going to get into a good clip of you.
Okay, so SoccerViza, in a quick description, is a program for undiscovered players who don't get a chance to be seen, but also don't have the education on where their career should go. I was a guy that went around the world just trying to become a professional, and I was able to do it, but I wasn't educated on where I should be targeting and why, or just given real honest feedback on where I should be going or can I play. So what SoccerViza is just a program you go to figure out where you should be targeting and why, where your level is, and try to help you get placed if you have it. And then we also own a professional team where we sign players from our program to our own professional team. So SoccerViza is a place you go to and pay money, so you don't have to pay money again to go to other tryouts. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Got it. And for our audience, we're going to share a clip. And this is very inspiring. I think it really sets the tone.
In the same place as these aspiring soccer players that I deal with on a daily basis. And I'm finding that the difference between me and them is I just accepted the industry for what it was. I knew no one was in my corner. I knew the industry was full of politics. I had to run on my own energy and really be my own agent. And what they don't understand is I was just like them. I went to every combine, every open trial you can think of. Got scammed by agents. I mean, I even moved to London on a one-way ticket in the dream to play in the 7th division. Worked 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And I realize now that most soccer players chasing this dream worry about all the things they're losing, all the sacrifices they're making while chasing this dream. I didn't even play at the highest level, but I did fulfill my lifetime dream of becoming a professional soccer player. I made something out of nothing. I never worried about the money leaving my bank account or missing my friends' weddings, or while my friends were back home partying, I was out here working 2 jobs. See, you're probably a better soccer player than I ever was. But you're not willing to lose what I lost. You're not willing to hear no 100 times. But the reality is, I was just like you. And I did it. Why can't you?
Old school clip, man. I remember those days.
It's great. So I guess my first question is, what is the path to become a professional soccer player, either in the United States, the MLS? What is the path?
It's a hard question. I think it comes down to what your goals are, whether it's to do it for money, whether it's to do it for the love of the game, the experience. It depends on what you want out of the game. For me, truly, the reason why I chased it was because I love the smell of the grass. I love the feeling of being in a locker room. I love putting a jersey on, and that's what guided me through my career. And I think it's the reason why I was able to maybe succeed more than players who were better than me at the time, is because I did it for the right reasons. I think a lot of players do it for either the Instagram fame or the paycheck or whatever it may be. And I think for a player, they have to understand why they're doing it. Because if they're just doing it to put their one foot in, it's usually not going to work out. You got to really go balls to the wall and really want to do this because you love it. You know.
Was there ever a point where you wanted to quit?
I did quit. I quit too young, and I regretted it. I regret it to this day. And it's the reason why I'm not quitting SoccerViza or my professional team, no matter if it's good or bad, because as I get older, I realize, whoa, I was too young and I had worked so hard to reach the level I did. And once I reached that level, I just stopped. And yeah, it was hard. It's hard now. It's hard mentally. But yeah, I quit before and I don't want to do that ever again.
Well, you redeemed yourself, as your video shows. And SoccerViza, what was the birth? What was the aha moment that you were like, I've got to start SoccerViza?
It was just a crazy idea to start a business and help guys. Right, you start a business to create a service that helps people, whether it's plumbing and you want to help with the plumbing issues, or whether it's a psychiatrist and you want to help people with their issue. Like my service was to help guys going through the same thing as me and make money off it. And that's kind of where it started. And we are here today, almost 15 years later. You know, wow, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah. What's the biggest difference from, let's say, year 5 to year 15 in the business structure?
A lot. I mean, we bought our own professional team. We failed a million times, a million times, and then had to get back on our feet. Knowledge, experience, less hair, those things.
And when you say you bought a professional team, what does that exactly mean? And what team is it for our audience?
So we came to Romania. We bought a team in Romania, which has a lot of history. The team was in bankruptcy. And we wanted to take over and rebuild it. Literally, the club had the most important thing, just the fans, the supporters, but it didn't have a training field, didn't have training gear, just so many things that were even uncovered after we actually made the purchase. So we own our own professional team in Romania in the 3rd division, and we're slowly trying to rebuild it, and it's hard. Like, it's hard.
What's hard about it?
Many things. The financial situation, we are the ones funding the club. We don't have any real sponsors. It's just us funding it. And there were a lot of things that came to light once we actually purchased the club, of old debts and things like that we're slowly going back the layers and finding more and more problems. So we're not able to put the money into the team to bring the players in we want. So we've had to start with a young team. Being a foreigner is difficult. People expect you to come in and make a difference right away. And because you're a foreigner, you're not always welcome I don't want to say the right way, but it comes with the territory too. So you got to deal with it. Just the lifestyle. There's no break. We're 12 months out of the year. We have practice every day. Even when the players are in their off season, we have to be scouting and trying to build the best team. So just everything, you know.
And when you're identifying players, what type of players are you looking for? Either obviously like physically and how they can play, but also mentally.
It's a great question. This year I did something. I tried, I want to build a team with players that are there for the right reasons. And it's hard because sometimes the players that are there for the right reasons aren't as talented as the ones that are there for other reasons.
What made you think that way?
What made me think what way? What do you mean?
Well, you're saying that you were trying this method of recruiting guys who want to play for the right reason. I'm assuming maybe that wasn't maybe in the year 3 or 4, or am I wrong?
No, because look, we're not a club that can. So we're self-funded. So I can't pay the salaries that other clubs pay, right? So I got to bring underdogs in that want to get their career started. We have a lot of connections, and we
Mhm.
can move players onto bigger teams. But we need players that are hungry and are not here for the salaries because we can't afford the same salaries as other teams in our league. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Okay. Perfect.
So that's why we thought that way.
Yeah. Developing culture then too, right? So you've got your players that are there for the right reason. How does that translate to culture?
Um,
And setting the pace for saying, hey, I've got a group of guys. How do I copy and paste this for the next 3 or 4 years if those guys leave?
well, the culture is in the young players. So developing like this is how we train, this is what we want, this is the mindset you have to come in. And what we have to do, which is something I'm learning that I have to get better at, is recycling players. If you're not with the culture, out you go. And we got to bring someone in who's with the culture because the culture is what's going to build the foundation of the club to be there for years to come and be successful for years to come. And especially now where we're just getting started, people are going to test that. You know what I mean? So, and we got to stay strong because we might have a really good player, but he doesn't fit the culture and is not making the young players around him better. So we might have to tell him, shh, you know what I mean? So it's hard, because we're building.
And what is your culture? What is it? When you say it, what does that mean?
Be at a club that makes the people around you better, whether it's the back end staff or the players or whoever. Be a club that's loving every minute of being a football club, not really in it for the social media, the lights, the cameras, the action, the success. You're there for every part of football, and you love the club for every part that is football. The wins, the losses, the hard times, the good times, the smell of the grass, the kit man, all those things.
And you mentioned the little things. I've been stalking your Instagram, and you constantly say little things. The little things matter. What matters, and what are those little things?
What matters in what those little things? How you carry yourself when you come to the pitch. Are you there for a paycheck, or are you there to get better? How you sleep. Are you eating properly? Are you coming to training with the right mindset? Whether it's like even on the bad days, are you focused? Learning from every moment. You know what I mean? That's what we call the little things, which is important.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you need to get better at that one certain aspect. How do you get better as a coach? Because I would assume too that like there's maybe not someone looking over your shoulder other than maybe like fans, players, but like how do you look at yourself in the mirror and self-reflect and say, Coach Joe, I could have done this better, or we're on a 3-game losing streak. Is it me?
It's just looking in the mirror and having an honest conversation with yourself, understanding that sometimes you're going to doubt yourself and trying to do what you feel is right as a human being in your soul to progress. This year's been one of the hardest years for me in terms of mental health because we've lost games we shouldn't, and the fans have been, oh my God, the fans have been so brutal. And I looked in the mirror a couple of times and said, "Is this for me? Like, can I do this?" But at the same time, I look at it and I say, yeah, I can because I'm the reason the club's standing today and I'm doing this for the right reasons. So I might fail 100 times, but I'm here for the right reasons and I must believe that. And if they don't understand that, I have to respect that. But I'm not here to do anything other than make this club as successful as it can because I love the sport. So I hope that makes sense. That's how you self-reflect to say, all right, who are you? What are you about? And understanding it's going to be hard, but can you push through it?
In terms of mental health, how do you reset? Because you're playing. Yeah, I know it's tough. Give me a good answer, Coach Joe, please. How do you reset? How do you like say, all right, I'm not gonna think about my team, my program, my players. I need to go and do X, Y, and Z. What is it?
Mental health is a muscle. The mental part is a muscle, right? So if I go to the gym and I work out my biceps, it's a muscle and I got to keep doing it until it grows. It's the same with my mind. There are really hard days. I mean, hard days where I'm sitting in the mirror looking at myself and tears are coming out of my eyes. I'm like, but that little voice behind all the negative thoughts, that little voice that's right here is like, come on, keep going, keep going. And that slowly, is what I do. And I mean, look, we're still not getting the results we want, but I'm telling myself I'm getting better, and if I get better, that's going to help the team. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, in the United States for sure, and probably where you're at. You're in Romania, is that right, Coach? You
Yeah,
mentioned.
we're in Romania. Yeah.
The United States, we love winners, right? Is it the same in Romania? Like, are those fans saying, "Hey, it's like win or bust," or are they saying, "No, Coach Joe's cool. He's got that culture right. He's bringing in the right players." What
Nah,
what what is it?
you're in the results business. So fans only see results. They don't see you having to pay back debt or developing a young player or the time it's going to take for the young player to develop. They just see results. And respectfully, that's why they're supporters. They want their team to win. So as much as you read the mean comments and the horrible comments that come in and you're like, this guy's not being fair. At the same time, if you're a football enthusiast and someone who loves the game, you understand the fans are there because they want to see their team win. So that's the truth, you know.
How are you recruiting players? Where's your player pool coming from? United States, where, and how are they finding you?
All over the world. I mean, we have a really good social media following, and players inquire about coming out to us, and we look at players. If they're good and we think they're good, we give them a chance. But they come from all over the world, all over the world.
And you go and scout them, you go and recruit them, you come
I
to the United States.
I can't. I have a lot of contacts. I'm always busy, but I have a lot of contacts who recommend me players, or they come into our development center where they come in and we take an honest look at them.
And the youth development center, what percentage of those players are then going pro? Like with your Romanian team?
With my Romanian team, we usually sign 5 to 6 guys from our team, and then this summer we placed, I think it was almost close to 40 players in professional teams around the world.
So it's like a stepping stone per se.
It's a place where like-minded individuals come to be educated on their career path and as well as create opportunities for themselves. I think that's the best way to put it. You ever see X-Men when I was growing up? It was like the school for talented youngsters or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I say we're a program for like-minded people who want to reach their goals.
And that one player I'm just going to make this up, great player, forward, he can score goals. Yet when you're trying to say, hey, man, think about this, think about that, pass the ball, for lack of better words, he's just being a shithead. He's not listening to you. He's just not being kind to players, or he's just doing this, that, or the other. How do you coach someone like that?
Old Joe calls him out and says, hey, listen, either with it or not, and I don't give a shit if we lose. Excuse my language. I don't know if I can swear on here.
You're good.
That's old Joe. This new Joe who's...
Now we're getting somewhere, Coach Joe. Now we're getting somewhere.
This new Joe is more like, all right, everybody has different personalities. Is it good or bad? I don't know. I mean, you look at some of the people I admire and they change, and it's part of life. I do get mad at myself for it sometimes because I do feel like, listen, we're trying to create a real good culture and you're outside the culture, but at the same time, can you mold him? Can you change him? Can you be that figure he never had? Can you, so it's hard. I'm kind of learning as I go as well, but at the same time, Dave, I think the old Joe just was like, I think he was better, where he was just like, oh, you don't buy in? All right, see you later. I'd lose the game. But now as you get older, I don't know if I'm scared to lose, but there's a lot more pressure, and I'm trying to find the middle ground where like I feel that pressure, but I don't lose our standards. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah. No, it's great. I think another thing that I'm thinking back on, and I'm kind of going off a little bit off topic. I saw an Instagram post where you guys were making the chicken for the team. I think it was one of the other female owners, and you were just real, high on nutrition, but you guys were actually making the food for the players.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I'm pretty just candid. I don't have anything to hide other than we're chasing our dreams. So our budget for the team is about $500,000 a year. Okay. Everyone else's budget in the league is over $1 million, and the big teams have 2.5.
Why is that?
Well, because they're funded by the city. So it's not public money. It's public money. It's not private money.
Okay.
Right. So the mayor or the people that run the city allocate a certain amount of money to the team. So we don't have that. It's me and Cecilia's private money that's going towards the team.
Okay.
So You know, sometimes you got to be the chef. Sometimes you got to cut the grass to meet the budget. You know what I mean? So that's why we do it.
Yeah. No, that just really stuck to me. Even from like the Santa Fe Gloom, you know, with the futsal team, we're very much like you guys to a lot of extent. Like we're pulling out the goals, putting up the nets, we're doing our thing, you know. But there's a lot of like, I think it's great too because we're starting something here. You know, we're at the ground up and building up, and I'm sure you could probably relate to that.
Yeah, 100%. We're doing it our way, but it's hard. You're going to need help. At some point, we're going to need bigger fish to come in as well. We got to get to a point where we can bring in bigger fish, and we got to do it right. But everyone needs help to level up, right? You always need help, you know.
And Coach Joe, what type of player were you when you were playing professional? And does that translate to what type of coach you are?
What type of player was I? Just someone that loved the game and wanted to get better every day and looked for a coach that saw that. And I realize now as a professional that no coach wants to develop you because their job is on the line. So they don't have time to develop you, right? But I was just a player who wanted to be coach and wanted to make the people around me better. And I felt like I never got that coach. And I understand why from a business aspect now that I never did get that coach. But that's also made me become the type of coach that I want to make the players around me better and I want to develop them. And I want to be, you know, I want to be a long-term coach at a club, not a 2-year, 3-year. That's why I'm owning my own team. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah.
No, I follow. And you grew up where, Coach? I know you told me in our last conversation.
So I was born in Italy, and then I moved to Connecticut, and I grew up in Connecticut until I was like 16. I went to play in Italy for a bit, and then came back home, was part of New York, New Jersey Metro Stars, who were at the MLS at the time. I was a reserve player under a reserve contract. And then I got released when the Red Bulls bought them, and I just was a backpacker through Europe until I was able to earn a professional contract.
Got it. Talk us through just the youth system in the United States briefly, just real high level, and if you agree with it or not, or just kind of your 2 cents on just how the youth development game is going in the United States.
All right. So the U.S. system and the youth system is something I'd love to speak about. A lot of people speak about, let's say the first thing, a lot of people speak about pay to play is wrong. And I apologize for my voice being loud. It's just some of the comments on live where I can't hear you. So, so a lot of people say pay to play is wrong, which is absolutely wrong. It's not wrong.
Okay.
It's not wrong. Pay to play is not the problem. The problem is U.S. soccer and the way they set up. Now, here's the thing. Look, in Brazil, in Portugal, in all these countries, players play for free. But they're investing in the players' housing, the players' coaching, the players' field rental, the cutting the grass. All that has a cost. And what they're banking on is that they sell players to recoup that money or to make profit, right? In the U.S., you can't sell players. It's so hard. So if I own a youth club in America, right, where in Europe, you can start your own private club and you own their rights. And if you're good, people are going to take notice and sell. Even the best youth clubs in America, they don't sell players. So they must charge, because how are they going to pay for referees, field rentals, insurance, tournament fees, league fees, coaching salaries, administration salaries, equipment? It's not like they invest that money and if a kid becomes really good, they can sell him, right? And that's a big problem with U.S. soccer. Like, oh, pay to play is the problem. No, U.S. soccer is the problem. It's a franchise. It's about making money. They're very profitable, and they're not going to change the system for anyone. In Europe, we have private or nonprofit clubs that can make profit by developing players and selling them, winning titles and doing things. In the States, you don't have that. Does that make sense?
Are you saying the states should have that?
They should, but they never will do it. And you can't argue on, look, it's cultures. Every culture is different. The American people, which there's nothing wrong with, have grown up on sports being a certain way. If you were to introduce a European culture to it, they just wouldn't understand it. Like, for example, at 15, if Liverpool sees a kid from London at 15 years old that they like, they go and get that kid and bring him to Liverpool, right? Can you imagine at 15, 14, 13, if I go to New York and I say to a kid's mom, look, he's really good, I need him to move here, parents are like, my kid's not moving. You know what I mean? So like the culture is completely different. I think it's starting to change, but for an American parent to grasp what the sport means, it's not their fault, and they love the game, but they'll never understand the game as much as someone from outside due to the cultures being different. And if they do, we're so far away from that being a possibility.
In Europe, do you think it's easier to become a pro player than in the United States? Like it's just more accessible?
I think it's difficult everywhere.
Okay.
It's difficult everywhere. I mean, you have a better chance in Europe, which is a small percentage because there's relegation and promotion. So if your team does well, there's always that chance that not only do you move up, but there's eyes on you, right? Because you can move up. There's also domestic cups where a small team can draw against a big team, and if they do really well against the big team, that big team might snatch them up. Or if the team continues to do well, there's a lot of eyes watching that underdog team. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like we just took a kid who was part of Inter Miami. He came out to us. He was very talented, great professional, great person, just a great human being. And he's worked really, really hard at just being focused. Now, when he came in, we almost bumped heads a little bit because he was a little unfocused for something, but he was able to take the criticism and really work on it. And a scout from another country came to our third division game, liked him, and he leaves tomorrow to go with that team, and we're possibly selling him. So I don't think you can do that. You can't do that in the States. No one's buying players from lower league teams.
Everything you just told me, is that a success story for you? Is that the template that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, but we've been doing that for years. Like
Okay.
that's always been our success, is moving underdogs to bigger teams.
Perfect. Coach Joe, we're about 30 minutes. I don't want to hold you anymore. Thank you so much. What did we miss? Anything?
No, I think it was good. I hope I gave some good information there.
Yeah. No, it was really good. Whenever you're back in the United States, definitely would love to come out to a Santa Fe Gloom futsal game and eventually an arena soccer game.
I'm all over that.
Yeah.
We'll stay in contact for sure.
And also too, I'm always willing to ask on how we could collaborate as well. Even our Gloom players going out to you and vice versa. So those are all conversations that we can always have.
Let's do it.
Cool. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll have you on again. Thank you so much for everything you do for the game.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.